Hello, amazing souls. Welcome to the Soul Vibe Insights Podcast, a show to demystify the soul, intuition, and the Akashic Records. We know a thing or two about the ups and downs of being on a spiritual growth plan and how to find the higher perspective, even when it seems like there isn't one. I'm your host, Maddie Hollingsworth.
And I'm your host, Emily Pearl. We've been professional intuitives and energy healers for over 20 years now. We believe each of us are on a unique path of growth and learning, and our intuition is meant to be our guide. The problem is, most of us have never learned how to use it. That's where we come in, helping you discover how your intuition works and the lessons your soul has chosen to learn in this life is what we're all about.
All right, y'all, let's jump right into today's show. Hey there, amazing souls, and welcome to today's show. Emily and I are excited to be back with you once again. Last week, we spent time telling you 5 unexpected ways that working in the Akashic Records changed our life, just things that we didn't see coming. And we kind of wanted to keep that theme going, and this show is going to be all about 6 valuable ways you can explore within the Akashic Records to enhance your life.
Whoop, whoop. Hello, everyone.
So keep in mind that entering the Akashic Records and why you want to go there and the information you're looking for is very personal. I can't know the exact reasons that you want to go, but I can sure try my best, along with Emily, to give you some ideas of the areas or some topics that you can explore that can really increase awareness around your life and what's going on and how to just overall create more meaningful experiences and a deeper connection to yourself.
Oh, just a happier, more fulfilling life in general.
And I think that's something we can all agree that we all want more of.
Well, yeah. If everyone's living a happier and more fulfilled life, I mean, the world would just be a better place, because why would everyone be trying to control others and be mean to others if they're happy and fulfilled themselves? There would be no need for any of that.
Oh my God, yes. What a beautiful image that I have in my mind thinking about the fact that if we were all just living a more meaningful and fulfilled life.
It's how much kinder we would be to others.
How much we wouldn't probably even care about others, what they were up to, because we would just be satisfied with ourselves and know that they're achieving that for themselves too.
Indeed.
And why would I get in the way of that? Wow.
So let's get started, shall we?
Yeah, let's jump right in. So first off, accessing the Akashic Records is going to expand your intuition through connecting with other beings in the records, with your spirit guides, and with others that you're looking for guidance or information from that may not be in your immediate spirit guide group, but you're tapping into different divine beings, different realms, so you can gather guidance and awareness from them. You're going to receive insightful, intuitive messages regularly that are relevant to your personal life, to your relationships, to your career, and any other circumstances that you want to encounter or play with when you're in the records.
Yeah, so really that's part of the fun, is connecting to the records, we like to have a nice list of questions to ask, like once we go to the records. Sometimes, I'll just go and kind of hang out in the fun, nice energies. But I found that sometimes you can kind of get lost in the fun a little bit. You don't really forget while you're there, but it is a little bit more difficult to try to kind of wrap your head around, oh yeah, I was going to find some stuff out. So it is kind of nice to have some questions already, that you've already thought about, that you really want to know before you access the Akashic Records. Go in there and, really you can receive guidance on anything. We're going to break down some of those things here in this podcast, but just connecting with the Akashic Spirit Guides and the rest of your guide team is just really amazing.
It's super cool to, I have a relationship with my spirit guides now.
Yeah.
And inside jokes and, different feels. There's a different energy that comes through depending on who I'm working with. And it's super cool to kind of have these nuances within my intuition and with my guide team. And going into the Akashic Records means that you're traveling into the astral realm. Emily and I teach to take a divine co-pilot with you to kind of help make sure some of that astral debris and the entities that may not be fully there for our benefit cannot tag along for the ride. But naturally, you're going to the astral realm, so you are using your intuition. You're opening yourself up. Every time you go to the records, you're strengthening your intuition, your intuitive senses. You're building trust. You're creating a deeper connection. And that's something that we hear from our clients. They want a deeper connection, not only with other people, but with their own intuitive senses, with themselves. They want to trust themselves more. Just naturally by going to the records, you build this trust. You increase your intuitive capabilities.
Absolutely. And that's definitely something that I was not expecting as much. I mean, I just kind of assumed that I would never have a connection with my spirit guides. And then it was like when we got the attunement, I was like, holy shit. And then it's like never wavered since then. My connection to my spirit, my Akashic Records spirit guide.
I've been using my intuition for almost 2 decades.
Same, yeah.
Without really having a relationship with my guide team. I might, be like, hey, thanks for the guidance, or I appreciate this, but I didn't have the nuances of energy. I didn't have names for guides. I just didn't have the same kind of level of feels that I have now that I can access the records and I really feel like I have a relationship, and it will never go away now. You know how, if you've ever heard the saying, once you know forever? I mean, this is one of those things. Once you experience it, it's there. It can always be tapped into.
Yeah. So you could even think about the Akashic Records as a way of meditating, or a place to go during meditation where you exponentially expand your intuition.
I would totally
agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say something else, so I was paused, but I'm like, I totally agree.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the second one.
Okay. This one's a fun one for me. I've definitely have spent a lot of time pondering, and I did this way before I worked in the Akashic Records, but never really felt the connection to the information I've gathered and my own personal awareness that I've gained around expanding my awareness and understanding of spiritual truths. I mean, you're tapped into God, Goddess, the universe's supercomputer, the spiritual Google that they've created, which is the Akashic Records. I mean, you're tapped into a place that houses universal laws and spiritual truth.
Yeah, and of course our human mind could never wrap our heads around all that it encompasses, but it is pretty cool to be able to get the little glimmers here and there of the spiritual truths that you can, really expand your awareness around some of these things.
I think the Akashic Records has helped me to awaken to my soul's point of view.
Yes, absolutely.
And has helped me establish a much more, or a semblance of a truly peaceful approach to life, because I understand more about the higher perspective for why I'm here and what spirituality means to me and what my connection with all that is like. This has really helped me find way more peace in my life.
Yeah, a lot more self-love, because you're like, oh, okay, that's me. That's who I came here to be. And so you can wrap your head around it more, and you really can have a lot more self-love because of that.
I think that's one of the big points that we're all trying to grow into. And we're all at varying levels of our own allowance for self-worth and self-love. But I definitely think that's one of the points for every human to be here, is to be this divine being having a human experience, kind of disconnected from that knowing. And there are some tools to get reconnected. And we're talking about the Akashic Records, and that's a big tool, we think, that can help with this connection.
Definitely.
But I think we're all here trying to find a way to look in the mirror and love what we see. Close our eyes and love what we think and feel, and get to a point where you understand that there is no right or wrong. There just is being. And however you're being is okay.
It is a lot about loving, who you are, but it's also about not disliking who you're not. Like not getting wrapped up in, oh man, I really wish I were like this, or, man, I wish I were more outgoing. I mean, I definitely feel that way. I do have, that longing sometimes, wishing I was a little bit more of an outgoing person. And I do have my moments, and I found that my outgoingness increases depending on who I'm around. But I've had to, find love for that and be okay with that. So I do think it's more about not only you learn how to love yourself more, it's also about not hating the things about yourself that you dislike. It's about finding more compassion and grace for those things as well.
Boom. Not judging against yourself because you feel like you fall short in certain areas of your life.
Yes.
Which is a good segue to, we wanted to share what we feel like are some spiritual truths that we've learned along the way. And, see if you resonate or not with this. Because ultimately, God, Goddess, the universe makes room for everyone's spiritual beliefs. But we feel like these are pretty universal truths. And the first one would be, there's no judgment by God or any other divine being. Judgment's a human construct. And we all, from time to time, and sometimes all the time, can fall prey to this construct on both sides of it. Whether you're the one doing the judging or you're the one being judged. Or you're both because you're judging yourself. That's a real slippery slope right there.
Totally.
And this is why judgment is so easy to be used as a control tactic. And if you review history, you know that it has been, especially on grand scales of certain organizations or countries, and they've judged against others across their borders or that don't believe the same that they have, and then they justify what they do out of those judgments.
Yeah, I mean, horrible things have happened from these judgments. I mean, genocide and wars, and it's awful, the things that have happened from this human construct.
From this human interpretation of what they think their deity might want or their fellow country people want to see happen. But make no mistake, judgment is a human construct. It was created by humans. Ultimately, the only one judging yourself is you. But that's only until you release your human nature and return back to spirit, back to the Creator, back into your light body, and you enter into your in-between human lifetime. Fully, you reconnect with the rest of your soul that's there.
Yeah, that was very prominent in the Life Between Lifetime sessions and in the past life regression sessions when we go to meet the spirit guides. That is a very prominent feeling, is that shedding of the judgment and moving into the higher perspective of your life, of your actions, of it all. Why you even needed to experience some of those things that you experience, like that all just kind of flows into you. It's pretty magical.
Yeah, well, you've shed your emotional and conscious blocks. The karma that we take on in this human life, it's still there, but it's not the same when we're in a light body and spirit anymore. We're free to see, like you said, babe, we're free to see the higher perspective of all of our experiences. And in my experience, leading people into these sessions, sometimes they might say, man, I could have handled that better. Or, darn it, I went to learn this and I totally effed that up. That might be the harshest judgment you have for yourself when you're in a spirit body, but it's more like, I'll do better next time. You're like already patting yourself on the back, like, good game. I'll be better next time.
Oh. If you're willing to allow yourself to shed that. If you stay within the human nature, then the guilt and the shame can stick with you. That's why you have to be willing to release. I think I just whistled a little.
Yeah.
Release that part of your human nature. Be willing to, I think a lot of people call it just go towards the light. And that's literally what that means, is like when you're moving towards the light, you're shedding all of that your human aspects, all of those emotional aspects, all those feelings of judgment, shame, guilt, whatever it is.
I feel like it's the attachment. That if
Yeah.
you don't let go of the attachment, and
The
we've talked in
attachment, totally.
past episodes about keepers of neutrality and that sometimes souls will kind of put themselves in a timeout so they can really sit with some of their actions and what they did. But these are souls that can't quite fully release the attachments or the judgments they hold against themselves, that guilt or that shame that's in there for the actions they've taken. And sometimes you just need to go, I mean, I don't know, spend a century or however long it takes. There's not really, time just doesn't really work in linear fashion there. But, you just go put yourself in timeout or a purgatory, if you will. And once you feel like you're ready, then you come back into the all with everyone else in spirit and fully reconnect with your soul and then get ready to come do it all over again.
But you always have that choice to do that immediately.
And not put yourself in that timeout. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
You always have that choice to release that attachment right off the bat. It's pretty incredible.
So as we talk about some of these spiritual truths, I mean, imagine yourself accessing the Akashic Records. You can get guidance from your soul's record on what spiritual truth means to you and where you fit into these truths on a grand scale or in this lifetime. If you want to get specific about that. Why are you here and what does it mean to be here now with regard to what you interpret as spiritual truth and how to work it in a more harmonious way in your life? The Akashic Records are a spiritual source besides the dogma of any religion or any other organized spiritual practices. You can tap into what your soul feels, what's important to you, what it means to you, without the influence of anyone or any other organization present. It's done wonders for me, wonders for my own peace, my own understanding, my knowing, my lack of fear of what comes next. All right, let's move on.
So, another really cool thing, and we've definitely talked about this on many podcasts, is that you can find out how past lives have influenced your present relationships. This could be your romantic relationships, your parental relationships, your friendships, your work relationships. I mean, really any relationship that you have in your life, you can go to the records and you can do research on why these specific themes keep popping up. And not only that, but you could look at, sources or root causes of present problems and patterns that you have in those relationships, fears, depression, shyness, any kind of addictions or chronic poverty, or, why you just feel lonely no matter what, even though you live with 8 other people or 5 other people. There's some of these things really do just have their root cause, from a past life. And a lot of times it can be something that was kind of ingrained into you during a very emotional time of a past life or on your deathbed, essentially. You could be on your deathbed and hear some really depressing news, and then you die with this really deep sadness that carries over. But because these feelings, they don't have a way to work themselves out when you don't have the emotional body to work through it, then they can sometimes carry over. Now, when you are in spirit, you can have the healing. But if it's something that you take on like an extreme emotion, like a belief or some sort of emotional pattern that is ingrained into your body, if it's done like right before your death, then you don't have a way to work through that in the physical reality. And so therefore it continues with you. And it's passed to either the next life or another life that mimics the same archetype that you experienced in the lifetime where it started.
Yeah, we've talked about these as past life hangovers before. And it really is energy from a past life that is hung over into this lifetime that you're in now. And like Emily was saying, that she was talking about, maybe on the deathbed and something really emotional happens, but really at any time when you have like a heightened sense of emotions, you've got all this extra energy, and we can really take on beliefs, and then they get more deeply rooted than they normally would because we're experiencing heightened emotions and maybe intense mental processes at the same time. And it just really amplifies this energy or this negative belief. And then it becomes part of us. And this could happen right before we cross over. This could happen at some point, but it goes unresolved. And then it shows up in our lifetime now. And
yeah, it's like literally like planting the seed into your energetic template.
it's a good way to look at it.
And then because it doesn't have time to like grow and develop and like be worked through, then the seed just kind of sticks with you.
Until your next life. And then it's spring and the seed goes, yay, it's time for me to come up.
Yeah, or a specific pattern or something mimics the same thing that you experience, and then it's like trigger time.
Yeah. Let's trigger that imprint from that past life. Yeah,
Yep.
Absolutely. So these are areas and topics that you can explore around your past lives. If there are or is something that's going on that you really just can't quite put your finger on or don't quite understand, you can use the Akashic Records to start to play with, well, where did this come from? Is it a past life? What's going on with this pattern? And then the next thing we wanted to talk about was once you realize that there is a pattern or a set of circumstances or a problem or something that you don't quite have figured out and you're starting to get some awareness around it, well, now you can use the Akashic Records to not only get the awareness about where these patterns came from, and it may be a past life, but it might not be. It could be your ancestral DNA. It could be the environment and the way that your parents raised you, or other experiential conditioning from, your close friends or what you've done in your life have created these patterns. But most importantly is now you can start to get some guidance and some steps on what to do about it. What's the best way to move forward and maybe get healing, or even potentially reversing unwanted physical or emotional, maybe financial or relationship patterns that are in your life. But it all starts with awareness. And then you have the Akashic Records to do the exploring within, to further that awareness, to use that deep connection to your intuition, and get some steps on what to do about it.
Yeah, I mean, say you had a really religious life where you were a nun, and in this lifetime you took a vow of poverty. And you took that vow thinking that that was a very spiritual thing to do. That's done in a lot of emotion, but that's not even negative emotion. That's like done in like faith and like positive emotion, because, you are proving your faith and your love for your religion through this vow. And so these types of things can also, filter through into present day lives. And I mean, pretty much everyone that we've researched in the Akashic Records, their soul journey, they've had some religious lifetimes. I mean, not necessarily everyone that we've researched has, became a nun, but they definitely had some sort of very religious lifetime. I mean, we're here. We're all looking for the truth. We all want to know why we're here. We all want to understand that. And so it is very, very common for us all to choose some sort of religious lifetime or some sort of spiritual lifetime in order to understand the truth about ourselves and, why we're here, where we came from, and all of that.
Well, especially when religions or, different spiritual practices can tell you, we have the answers. Do what we tell you to do and follow these guidelines, and you'll end up in heaven forever and ever and ever in eternity.
And some of that advice is very devastating.
I mean, heaven is a potential for anyone. Heaven is something you can have right now. Heaven, the way it's described, is a form. It's a place to go, to be. Well, you're in a place. You be in a place right now called Earth. And anything and everything can happen in Earth. Heaven can be here right now for you.
Yeah.
I just find it very interesting in the regard of there are so many possibilities and potentials, and we're coming here to explore, to learn about ourselves. So absolutely, why wouldn't you jump both feet in right into the deep end and have some intensely religious lifetimes or spiritual lifetimes that you're trying things out? Different ways of being, different ways of learning about yourself, about your soul through the many lifetimes. Totally.
Yeah. And we've definitely found that the people that have tried it all, that have had the most experiences with all the different types of religions and spiritual ways of being, they're definitely the more well-rounded people, I feel like.
I would agree, like what's showing up in their soul journey reading that we're doing, and then when we're having our 90-minute coaching call and getting to know them a little bit better and stuff. Yeah. When you see a lot of religious and spiritual practices that have showed up, they tend to be well-rounded and, kind of peaceful.
But I just mean like well-rounded in their understanding of life, like their open-mindedness as well.
Oh, big picture people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely more of like people that just kind of naturally understand that there is a higher perspective, not not living with blinders on. Just kind of cool. Cool thing to observe.
No one thing, one religion, one practice knows everything, has it all. I think there are truths that we can take from lots of different places and incorporate them within what spirituality means to us as a whole. And if you're both feet in the deep end in one thing, then good for you. That's what your life's up to right now. I hope you get the most out of it. I know I've tried it in other lifetimes myself.
Oh yeah.
In this one, I'm more of a feeling into what feels right to me and what works out for me, and I've definitely taken from many sources to achieve my awareness and my knowledge and experience along the way. I think my path is the path of many paths. All right, shall we move on?
Let's do it.
Cool. So this next one, given just what's going on in the world and politics, and a lot of people think there's a lot of chaos and upheaval, and I don't want to, fall on any side of any issues here, but the Akashic Records, for the grand scale of things, like you can learn about global energies and issues.
And patterns.
Definitely patterns. Social, cultural, religious, military. You can work with the Akashic Records is the past, everything that was. The present, everything that is. And the future potentials, everything that could be. It's just kind of like when we were talking about spiritual truths. It's hard for us in a human body using just our mind to look at what's going on in the world. Just consider, given the state of politics, there's a lot of attempts to separate us as constituents, as people, as whether you want to talk about us as Americans or any other country, but us as humans. People look around every day and they think there's chaos and wake up going, well, what next? There's a lot of that energy going on. I see it on social media. People's emotions are ranging from angry, scared, overwhelmed, gleeful, even feeling excited about what's happening. For many different potential reasons that excitement could be happening. No matter what you're feeling right now during these times, feeding into this us versus them energies, I think it keeps us from seeing our similarities and finding common ground potentials with which to move forward. And I know that the Akashic Records and tapping in and exploring some of the grand scale of why these things are taking place can really help bring awareness and higher perspective. It's just so hard to find using only our minds and our human experience. And we talked about judging earlier. There's a whole lot of judging about who's doing what and why they're doing it and if it's right or wrong. Remember, it's a human construct. There's ultimately no right or wrong. We may feel like it's wrong for us or right for us, but ultimately, in the grand scheme, there's just us and our experience. And I feel like it's a really good idea. And the Akashic Records has helped me to know this and see this in my own life, is when I'm starting to get pulled in different directions and feeling certain things about what's going on in the world or what I'm seeing or hearing, or feeling is to get back to an emotional center and not let politics divide us. I think this is a great thing to attempt to do, to find a balance point. And just imagine yourself, if you were tapping into the Akashic Records, what kind of higher perspective and guidance you could get on the bigger picture of your community, the country you're in, the world at large of what's happening. Explore some of these patterns. What does it mean? If you're feeling negative about what's happening, what are the potential positives that can come from these things? And you can explore this stuff because the Akashic Records isn't just soul records. Anything that's been created has a record. So our communities, our countries, businesses, your animal friends have records there. The things that we as humans have built have records. There is just remembrance. And there's so much awareness that could be had.
So yeah, I definitely agree that, there is some chaos happening, and it definitely is perpetuated through the media and keeping everyone in a state of freaked outedness. Yeah, the Akashic Records is a great resource for tapping into the higher perspective and learning more about how we can help, how we can move forward, how we can learn to love and create community within this chaos. And of course there is, the caveat. What's the caveat? Well, it's time consuming. It's time consuming to do all this research. It's not like you just go to the records and everything is just implanted into you. It does take time to learn about these things. And of course, if you want to be thorough, which I would hope you would want to be, then you need to look at it from a lot of different perspectives. And so that is somewhat time consuming.
Doom scrolling on social media is time consuming.
Absolutely.
I think exploring the Akashic Records would be a much more positive use of one's time. I've definitely found that the more I use the records and the less I engage with news and media in general. I do love my puppy pictures and cute animal stuff when I find it on the social media. That's my jam right there. I get pretty excited about that, but exploring the Akashic Records really has helped me find more of a center point and a balance, and Emily so beautifully put it, ways to move forward, to create community.
If not for everyone, at least for yourself, how you can learn to live in this world and not go fucking crazy.
Amen to that.
So let's end on a more positive note.
Yeah.
The sixth thing that you can explore in the Akashic Records that can be very valuable to your life is you can find your personal purpose and live a more conscious and fulfilling life. And this has definitely been huge for me, someone who has constantly been a soul searcher, soul seeking, constantly wondering what my purpose is, how I'm supposed to live that out, why aren't things falling into place for me better, and learning how to access the Akashic Records and being able to do the research in my soul's record has definitely helped me with just more of a knowing that there is no wrong way to go. There's only movement forward. You can stay stagnant if you'd like, but really movement forward is an experience is the main goal. And really learning to allow yourself to have more satisfaction, success in your life. Because sometimes, we're blocking those things for ourselves. Sometimes you can do the same thing every day and be miserable. And then one day you can change your perspective about it and start enjoying it more. Enjoying taking a shower, enjoying brushing your teeth, enjoying working out. Because, if you're constantly doing those things and just hating it the entire time, then just think about what effect that is having on your body, on your spirit, on your emotions, on your consciousness in the now. So really, you can start to have more peace with why you're here. And really have more peace with the mundane as well.
It's helped me big time with that one right there.
I definitely still, we all still struggle with all things all the time, but I've definitely learned how to find more joy and find more satisfaction and just more stillness within the things that I have to do every day.
I know for me, when I first started researching the Akashic Records, and I was wanting to know about soul purpose, but I was always anchoring it to my career or finances. That's what I thought soul purpose was achieving something or, some big criteria or idea that I needed.
Checking off the boxes.
Yeah.
I checked them off.
Nothing was coming up. I couldn't find anything in my soul purpose that my soul came specifically because of this career or because of certain financial goals that I wanted to hit. My soul had ideas of what I could do that would bring more satisfaction and success to my life, but it was more about feelings. And the more being in success and satisfaction feelings led to more success and satisfaction within career and within finances. So I did want to make sure to mention that your soul purpose may not be attached specifically to your career, to the job you're doing, to your finances specifically, which I know are super important, that we all have plenty of resources to take care of ourselves and our loved ones and to do the things that we want to do and to, enjoy ourselves while we're here on earth. But I've found that, like Emily was saying, it's more about finding growth and success and satisfaction in just what you're doing every day. Experiencing that more has been more purposeful for my soul. And I had no idea that I came as part of my soul purpose until we explored the Akashic Records was to literally explore emotions in a body. And when I think of my life, I've been deeply down and super elated and everything in between when it comes to love relationships and family and friendships. I mean, I feel like my life's been the gamut of emotionality on how I feel, how I kept it all bottled up inside, how I let it fly out. That was one of the big things for my soul purpose, was coming to have that exploration. Not to have an even-keeled life or just to find joy all the time. It was to explore it all.
Well, I do want to make a clarification, though, because, yes, your purpose is not your career, meaning you didn't just incarnate to be like, I'm going to be a lawyer this time around, or I'm going to be a teacher. No, it's more like, I'm going to carry all of these qualities that, like, carrying these qualities and playing these qualities out is how I fulfill my soul's purpose. Now, you can carry those qualities out and fulfill your soul purpose through your career through your everyday life, because you are playing out and you are living your soul's purpose through embodying these qualities that you came here to be. That's your purpose.
Thank you. That's a really great way to put that. I just wanted to make sure that people weren't attaching soul purpose to their career.
Well, I think that's kind of what we've been taught.
Yeah, exactly. That comes up a lot, and we've definitely been taught that for sure. But you're right. It is about the qualities that you have, that you came to express, that you came to grow from and to experience, can absolutely be wrapped up in your career. Absolutely. And what you're achieving financially through your career. I mean, totally. Thank you for putting that out there.
Yeah, and these can be qualities that you are innately good at because you've carried them forth into this lifetime from your in-between lifetime trainings or from past lives. But they could also be qualities that you're wanting to explore that you may not be so great at, that you are looking at from all different ways here. And so by doing that, you can learn to embody those qualities more and more throughout multiple lifetimes, many lifetimes. Sometimes it takes a few, sometimes it takes, a lot. Just depends on how fast of a learner you are, but it's really about bringing forth these qualities and embodying these qualities in order to create this more sense of wholeness within you.
Yes, that is definitely part of our soul's purpose, is to live our life, have our experiences, and create more wholeness, or become more wholesome, well-rounded as a soul. Yeah.
Indeed.
Beautiful.
I feel like that's a good stopping point.
It's a lovely stopping point.
It was really fun to talk about these things. And we're definitely going to be talking more about the Akashic Records.
I mean, it's pretty much my favorite subject. We dive into the Akashic Records and what can happen.
Well, we are putting together a course to teach others how to access the Akashic Records, which is why we wanted to talk about a lot of these things and why you would even want to access them in the first place, and really just kind of paint the picture of all of the different ways that it can really be valuable in your life. I mean, this is a lifetime and highly valuable skill to have.
And if we didn't cover something and your mind's going, well, what about this and this and this? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Anything and everything can be explored within the Akashic Records as long as it's about your soul or someone that you're involved with or something that's happening in a grand scale, like that's involved with the country and, you know, what's happening at large with that, or the people around you. Now, you can't go prying into the personal stuff of another soul, but when you're experiencing something with them, you can totally explore what this relationship means and what's happening here and where did that pattern come from and what can I do to move forward in a more harmonious way and, you know, and heal this pattern.
Well, you can explore anything.
Yeah.
But whether you're given access, that is yet to be determined, because it depends on, you know, where you're coming from. If you're coming from a place of prying and not integrity, then you may not have access. And sometimes even with your own stuff, you may not have access because it's not time for you to know yet. There's definitely been times where I'm like, you know, I get the notification, if you will. Nope, you can't know that yet. That's for you to figure out still. And so
Let's work on the next step towards getting to know that.
Right. So it's like, I can give you this information, but because, I mean, sometimes you have to still figure things out in order to get that next little bit of information. And if you're looking for an example of this, in my Life Between Lifetimes session, I asked the question, is there a place in the world where it would be in my highest good to live? And I just kind of hear like this chuckle, and it's like, well, that's for you to figure out. I'm not going to tell you that. But it's going to blow your mind.
Yeah, can you imagine all the experiences in between then and getting to that place that won't be had? Because the first thing we would do is buy tickets and pack up and go. Exactly. And we would lose all of this potential experiential knowledge for living, which is why we're here to get this stuff.
So that's just a fun example of sometimes you're not quite given the access or the information, exactly as you'd like it, but, there's usually a good reason for that.
So if you're resonating with what we're talking about and you can see the potential benefits for accessing the Akashic Records in your life, there's a link in the show's description to our newsletter. Join the newsletter. We're going to be releasing information. We're going to start the course in mid-March 2025. This will be our beta launch. There'll be fun little early bird entry stuff going on as well, and little bonuses and whatnots for those that jump in quick. So join our newsletter so you're in on that. We are so freaking excited about this. I mean, every day is just, listen to Emily right now. Every day is just a joy for us as we're putting the final touches of this together and getting ready to launch into more details and content focused around accessing the Akashic Record course. We are...
Yeah, it's been years in the making.
Super excited,
So
Joe.
excited. Thank you for listening.
Have a wonderful week. We will see you next Wednesday.
Mwah!